So even though the actual torture was not used hardly at all, the persuasion of the Inquisitions wasn't quite as simple and nice. It did involve intimidation. So here's how the process usually took place. In a typical town, the inquisitors would give a public sermon on heresy and true doctrine, and then they would announce a 30-day grace period during which people could confess their wanderings or inform on known heretics. So 30 days for that to happen. The formal inquiry involved interviewing witnesses and defendants. And then finally, the inquisitors would give a public announcement of restoration on one hand or ongoing guilt on the other. And those who had who were restored had to perform some sort of penance, whether set prayers, a pilgrimage, temporary confinement in prison, or the wearing of a special cross for a period of time, sometimes for life. And I was thinking about this. I mean, having been brought up Catholic myself, and when I used to go to confession and confess my sins to a priest, we would be given penance to do, and usually it was just to say a certain amount of prayers, and that made me think that prayer was a punishment. But I don't think that's the intention. I think the intention is to put you back in contact with God, in relationship with God, so that the effect on your life will be positive. But it's amazing how a young mind like myself just took that to think that prayer was punishment. So prayer was never an inviting thing for me growing up.
A quick question here, Michael. So this process where they actually would determine there's a particular individual in this village, two questions actually. So they're looking for heresy. What is I imagine that in a normal village, the inquisitors would go to what percentage of that village would actually read their Bible on a regular basis because there were no Bibles. And
That's right. That
secondly,
wasn't happening then.
yeah. So there was a lot of freedom there for heresies when nobody knows what the Bible has to say. So you're kind of speculating. But the other thing, actually, that reminds me of today. But back to another point. So of that total number of inquisitions that took place, you say a lot of them were resolved this way, the way you've just described. So what percentage roughly resolved the penance in 3 day or whatever peacefully, resolved without physical violence of that total number?
I think I got what you said there. Your audio was cutting in and out for me. And there is something later on here. So this won't be the exact figure, but I did come across a figure that it was single digits. It was something like 2 or 3% they resorted to physical punishment or death, whereas 97% or thereabouts were resolved through persuasion.